What is up, my friends, and welcome to another edition of the XFL Week in Review. I am your host, Mark Perry from XFL News Hub, the number one source of everything XFL news in the universe. On this show, we talk about Eric Dungey signing with the Dallas Renegades. Chad Johnson is going to be a kicker in the XFL. That was news that came out today, and so much more. So how do you get in touch with the show? It's really simple. You call 888-430-7692, extension 3 to leave us a message, or you send us an email, podcast@xflnewshub.com with your MP3, your thoughts, and we'll read that on the show. Remember, cutoff time is 5 p.m. Eastern on Tuesdays because we go live Tuesdays at 8 p.m. You understand? Remember to always leave us a review on iTunes, and we'll read it on the show. And speaking of iTunes, we have some more iTunes reviews we got to get to before we get into the show. Jimmy Jams 12 gave us 5 stars. XFL is almost here, and you'll get the best information here. This podcast is second to none. Very nice. Very nice. JB970 gives us 5 stars as well. Great stuff and quality content. I do want to know what you know about Shane Ray and if he was invited to the league or if he declined to join. Not really sure about Shane Ray. You can look in our draft stuff. We have searches there. Just search his name in XFL News Hub or take a look at some of the roster things that you can search on. That might answer your question there. Eric_Sean, 5 stars again. A well-produced podcast to get and keep you up to date on the new XFL. I feel like a, quote, insider when talking at the water cooler about what's happening as we get closer to the league premiere next month. So you're like an insider, yes. Doesn't it make you cool that you've been involved with this the whole time? And now people are like, wait, XFL, have you heard anything about it? Oh, yeah, I know something about it because I've been in the know the whole time. So that's what we got going on here. Also, remember, my friends, you can win this cool XFL football. That's right. All you have to do is leave us a review on iTunes or subscribe to our YouTube channel, and you'll be entered to win an XFL football of your choice, a $125 value. Winner will be announced on February 4th episode of XFL Week in Review. That's right, you get your very own football, like the one that I'm holding here on the screen for all you guys checking out live on the YouTubes. You can get one of these cool football. All you have to do is leave us a review on iTunes or subscribe to our channel. That's it. We'll send you one, whatever team you want. Most likely, hopefully, it'll be the DC Defenders America's team. And you got one for you right there. Also, coming up on the show, remember, we're live every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern. And, of course, you can check me on Dallas Radio Sports, 1160 a.m. KBDT Sports Day with John Clemens. That's Saturdays and Sundays, talking XFL, talking your Dallas Renegades. On this show, we have the question of the week. Who is your favorite XFL team and why? Just curious what people are picking out there, especially if you don't live in that city. Really kind of trying to get a background on that. Also, we'll hear from Jalen Green and Willie Mays of the LA Wildcats after our news segment. Some interviews with them. Be interesting to see a behind-the-scenes look at what's going on at XFL camp. That since you're not there, you don't know what's going on. But we have XFL camp currently happening right now, and we'll get to that after we get into the news and so much more. So, my friends, without further ado, folks, let's just get into the week that was the XFL. Our first big news story this week, of course, was Eric Dungey. Well, first it was actually the big news of this week was our I'm like looking at this. This is not working right. Our first, what is going on here? Taking a look at my image here. Firefox, hello? Is this working? Was have to switch that. The heck. All right, we'll just have to switch it. Anyways, was the big news that we talked about last week at the end of the show was quarterback for the Dallas Renegades, Landry Jones, is hurt 4 to 6 weeks. We talked about that last week. Well, now, who are they going to bring in? We were speculating on names, but it's former Syracuse QB Eric Dungey signs with the Dallas Renegades. Last Wednesday, according to the Renegades Twitter account, they signed the former Syracuse quarterback. He was brought in to add depth after QB Landry, really made the biggest star in the XFL. Landry Jones went down with a knee injury. So Eric Dungey is now part of the rotation now. We don't know what's going to happen. Jones is expected to be out 4 to 6 weeks, which puts in jeopardy him starting week 1. I don't think he's going to start with. He just has a knee injury. We're unclear of if it's a tear, if it's a strain. There was no contact going on, and he had this knee injury. So we don't know who's going to be the week 1 starter against the St. Louis Battlehawks. It could be Dungey or Philip Nelson out of East Carolina. They'll both be battling for the starting job for the Dallas Renegades. Now, Dungey played all 4 seasons at Syracuse. He went undrafted in the 2019 NFL Draft. Giants signed him as an undrafted free agent and waived him in July. He later signed with the Cleveland Browns practice squad in October, but was released in December. So bounced around a little bit, a name that was out there as fans were interested in the XFL picking up. However, he was on practice squad, and that didn't happen. So we thought that the whole Eric Dungey book was closed, but apparently not. Dungey threw for 9,300 yards and 58 touchdowns in his career at Syracuse. Dallas will play its first game February 9th against the St. Louis Battlehawks on ESPN at 5 p.m. Eastern. That will be the last game of the kickoff season. So we don't know. Will it be Landry Jones? Will it be Eric Dungey? Or will it be Philip Nelson? Well, you're just going to have to stay tuned to find out. We've had some bunch of roster changes going on this week. Teams dropping players, trading players. Joe Callahan signs with Seattle. What was interesting about Joe Callahan is I remember watching him play for the Baltimore Ravens in their or in their preseason games, and noted him as a potential XFL guy. He was drafted, but was on a bunch of practice squads. And now he got released recently from practice squad, so he signs with Seattle. He was drafted in the XFL draft, but didn't sign with the XFL, so he is all in. Remember, you can check out a lot of these things. The XFL has a great transactions page now that you could see all the teams and what's going on. So the Seattle Dragons have at last the last signed quarterback for their team, you would think. He was initially drafted by the team, but ended up on the Detroit Lions practice squad. The Renegades also today shipped defensive tackle Nick James from Mississippi State to Houston Roughnecks in exchange for tight end Julian Allen from Southern Mississippi. As far as this offseason, Brandon Silvers and B.J. Daniels have been neck and neck for competing for the Seattle Dragons starting QB gig. Chase Litton has also been on there as well, and it's been an interesting storyline to follow through the camp. The competition just heated up with Joe Callahan now adding to the mix as another viable QB. The D3 legend put up insane numbers on small school ball at Wesley and stirred up enough attention for himself to land a spot with the Packers, Saints, Browns, Buccaneers, Eagles, Ravens, and Lions since going undrafted in 2016. He's got accuracy, he's poised, but he's a Division III guy, so maybe that's why they weren't too high on him in the NFL. Who knows? Brandon Silvers played for Troy. He played well in the AAF last spring. Could be a good guy in Zorn's West Coast offense. And B.J. Daniels is another guy as a dual threat veteran. And then Chase Litton you have as well. So who knows? Lots of competition for the quarterback spot in the XFL. It's way different than the NFL when it comes to quarterback position competition going. Other transactions. The Wildcats trade Rashad Ross to the DC Defenders for wide receiver Trey McBride. It's another transaction that happened in the midst of the Houston training camp. Now, Rashad Ross was raised in California. He played for the Redskins for 3 years. The trade was somewhat surprising as Ross has been in discussion as one of the best receivers in the XFL. So people were saying he was nicknamed the Rocket. He was probably the MVP of the AAF Sloan season. So why would he be traded? Their second round pick and their first receiver taken in the XFL draft. Why was he traded to DC? Interesting there, but for basically a swap of receivers. Not really sure what's going on there. Trey McBride played for William & Mary, has since bounced around NFL practice squads. McBride was also a second-round pick in the XFL draft, so maybe it was just a scheme thing. We don't know. So a wide receiver swap trades. Also, Renegades trade wide receiver Stacy Cole to the Vipers for wide receiver Freddie Martino. Another wide receiver thing. It may just be a scheme thing. We don't know, but Stacy Cole was out of Miami. He went in exchange for Freddie Martino from North Greenville. Both are good receivers, good production in college, and they were swapped. Now, Freddie Martino was a Division II standout who had amassed 296 receptions and over 4,000 yards and 31 touchdowns in 4 seasons. He was with the Falcons, Eagles, and Buccaneers. Got some time in the AAF, saw some action with the Arizona Hotshots. At 28, he's physically in his prime, so we'll see how he fits in. Both guys offer a lot of upside. It'd be really interesting to see where these guys make it in the XFL. If they're on a squad, do they get cut? These trades will be real interesting to see later on in the season. One story we had talked about, the St. Louis Battlehawks named Chuck Long as their offensive coordinator. Why? Because Doug Meacham has left. So Chuck Long is a college football former quarterback and Hall of Famer. The Battlehawks began the season as Doug Meacham. We talked about him as a rumor. There were reports that he was going back to TCU, where he had coached previously. There's alleged sightings of him on campus, so he's out right before a month before the season starts. Not really sure how I feel about that. Probably going to happen, but now we have Chuck Long as your new offensive coordinator of St. Louis Battlehawks. He was a Heisman runner-up, College Football Hall of Fame, fantastic at Iowa's quarterback from the 1981 to 85. After 8 years in the NFL with the Lions and Rams, he returned to Iowa as a DB and QB coach. Ended up as Oklahoma's QB offensive coordinator under Bob Stoops. It was a former teammate of Bob Stoops. So now you have a new coordinator to go with Jordan Ta'amu, Taylor Henneke, and Brogan Roback. We'll see how this plays out. But a coach to leave that early and just before the XFL season starts is kind of not cool, man. Not cool. All right, you freaks. You like gambling. You like DraftKings. It's funny. I started with $30 in DraftKings and, played a bunch of games. I think I was up maybe $40 or $50. I just do it for fun, just to kind of play. We have a DraftKings league with some friends. I think I was maybe up $60. I finished the season with 4 cents. That's right, 4 cents in my DraftKings account. But apparently, I'm going to have to add more money because DraftKings and the XFL are getting together for a little sports betting when the XFL season starts after months of teases and speculation. And we reported on this a while ago, but it looks like they kind of made a little bit more definitive statement. If you don't know what DraftKings is, it's that daily fantasy, FanDuel type thing. They both are owned by the same company. It's daily fantasy, baseball, football. Baseball is really tough. Basketball is pretty good. I don't watch basketball. I used to love it. Football is a lot of fun because it's once a week and it kind of keeps you in some of the games. So DraftKings is out there, and of course they're going to capitalize in on the XFL. A fan asked DraftKings, are they going to have XFL? This is from DraftKings Twitter account. says, we can confirm that we will have XFL contests this season and that those contests will begin February 8th. We'll be sure to provide additional details as we get closer to that date. Thanks for your patience in the meantime. So, you fans out there, cash prizes will start on February 8th. And also, if you didn't know, Vince McMahon owns a little stake in the DraftKings. So, no shocker there. There's been references to the DraftKings and XFL in the past, going all the way back to 2018. So, definitely will be in there. They would be dumb not to do it. So, you'll see the DraftKings information coming real soon before the XFL season starts. So this was kind of interesting when during this weekend, the XFL dropped its first big commercial in the game between the Green Bay Packers and Seattle Seahawks. I wasn't watching the game because my Baltimore Ravens lost to Tennessee and they are out of it, and I didn't feel like, hey, everybody in there was all like, hey, we're all about the DC Defenders now. No fear, Mark. We're all in. DC Defenders is the team to be, and we kind of gave up. So I wasn't watching the game. However, the XFL dropped a commercial during the game, and boy, oh boy, did XFL News Hub feel the effects, the quake.
This is big-time professional football. Fans should expect more plays, less downtime, and more scoring opportunities.
This has been sensational.
The talent in this league is actually unprecedented. We're going to have the opportunity to enjoy football throughout the spring and bring you closer to the game than you've ever been before. This is the XFL on Fox.
So that was the commercial. And when that happened, it happened at around 8:13. Our server blew up over 4,000% of what we normally get in that 1 minute. We looked at the logs. I looked at the logs, and it was like normal. And then this huge spike, crazy spike. And it only lasted a minute or two because everybody saw the commercial and instantly was on their phones Googling XFL, and XFL.com comes up and XFL News Hub comes up as well. So we had a huge spike in traffic that was pretty cool. The site went down for a couple minutes and then came back once things kind of settled down, but we are prepared for that next time this weekend. So we'll be ready for that on Sunday. We'll ramp up our servers, and hopefully Fox will drop another commercial. Now, XFL news reporter Mickey J. Wind, a legend in the Twitter sphere for XFL, noticed that since the first XFL commercial aired, their Twitter feed gained 4,000 new subscribers. So the impact of having that partnership between Fox and ESPN, can you imagine the Super Bowl? That's the thing. What is going to happen to XFL.com, XFL News Hub, when the Super Bowl drops? There's an XFL commercial with the world and the whole country watching and being the XFL? Really? That's coming back? Let me search. I will max out that server that day big time to handle that traffic that comes. And I'm so excited, not only for when that happens and I'm sitting there with my friends watching an XFL commercial, but also looking at the logs and seeing that site blow up and knowing that a week later the XFL is on and kickoff happens. So it was really kind of a fun thing to watch on our side. We'll see what happens this weekend. Maybe there'll be more commercials. Fans were clamoring, saying, hey, what about ESPN and other places? I'm sure that's coming. But that Fox commercial, that impact, we certainly felt it. The quake of that impact of that commercial was felt all the way over on XFL News Hub. So, you video game nerds, are you wondering if there is going to be an XFL video game? There's been talk of it before, but SportsGamerOnline.com hinted that it could happen and that there is negotiations going on right now with a developer. Now, rumors have it could be 2K, could be reviving the football games. They have a little They're a major player. Vince and Oliver Luck had said that they want to work with a major developer. 2K, I believe, does the WWE game, so it wouldn't be shocking. But the main thing you need to learn is that the game would likely come out in late 2020. I would be stunned if there was a game that came out this year. But in 2021, that could definitely be. See, all things hinges on how the XFL performs this season. A game studio is not going to want to invest its time and its assets creating a product if they get AAF'd. Or like Antonio Brown thinks, it only lasts 3 weeks, which we will have an Antonio Brown celebration in a week after week 3, going into week 4. We'll have an Antonio Brown celebration because he said it's going to fold after 3 weeks. So really, video game nerds, including myself, because you don't think I'm going to play that thing. You dang right I'm going to play that. Then hopefully it'll be out for both the maybe being developed for the PlayStation 5 or Xbox Series X, and maybe not some of the older versions. Maybe that will factor in kicking the can to next year. But 2021, seeing an XFL game, I wouldn't be surprised. And frankly, I used to be a huge Madden fan, but I think that game stinks now. And I stopped playing it a while ago. It was just kind of nothing. So to have an XFL game to go along with another football game would be a Madden game, an NFL game would be pretty cool. All right, my friends, we'll be back with your social media, our interviews with some LA Wildcats, and your social media stuff right after this. Stay tuned, my friends. What's up, XFL Army? If you're a fan of the XFL News Hub and you have a telephone, which I know all of you do because you're sitting there playing on your phones all the time, then why not download the XFL News Hub app? That's right, it's on iTunes. It's on Android. We have an Android version and an iPhone version of the XFL News Hub app. So what do you get? You get the latest news from XFL News Hub, the premier source of XFL news in the universe. Plus, you get push notifications when we have breaking news. You will be the first to know. You can leave a comment on some of the news right from your phone. Plus, you get this podcast on your phone as well. Remember, you can leave us reviews on the Google Play Store or iTunes. It links to other social media, our other social media accounts, and so much more. Be in the know. I know you're on your phones. People are on their phones all the time. They never get off their phones. So why not just download the XFL News Hub app on your Android or iPhone today? All you need to do is go to the Google Play Store or iTunes and just type in XFL News Hub. That's XFL News Hub. Download our app on your phone today. All right, we are back. Hello to all my friends in the chat rooms hanging out with us. So we got a chance to, well, right now, what's going on is we have training camps going on. And this past weekend, we got a chance to, and we're showing some coverage, courtesy of the XFL, the Dallas Renegades, about they had some practice scrimmages, I guess training camp combining teams. We had the Renegades against Seattle Dragons. I think the DC Defenders were against LA Wildcats. So these teams were kind of practicing and playing together. That's what kind of went down this weekend. And we got a chance to get some audio from 2 players from the LA Wildcats. First up is LA Wildcats wide receiver Jalen Green. And this is what he had to say about the XFL preseason.
How you feeling? How we feeling on the day? Good, ready to go into the first scrimmage. Feel like we're getting all our cylinders tightened up and, just finding in on the details.
Talk to me about the little one-on-one drills you guys are doing down there, the catches out of bounds, what are you guys working on the most, like you said? Like, what does that help you do?
Again, just the details, just being on the same page as the quarterback and, knowing the coverage that we're getting, knowing leverage we're getting against the DBs and, just making sure wherever the quarterback is expecting me to be, I'm there.
You guys have now we've been in Houston for about a week now. Like, what's it like being, the guys in the hotel? You guys are kind of getting back into the swing of things, everybody.
Yeah, it's love. I love this team. I got a lot of great guys on this team, a lot of great human beings first, and, at the end of the day, everybody comes out here to work, and that's what you appreciate the most as a fellow athlete. A guy next to you, lined up in front of you, putting in the same work as you. So I know we're all ready to get after it tomorrow.
How's it like with Coach Chow, going playbook and him on the walkie in your head and in your ear? Like, what's that been like working?
It's new as far as the headset, just getting it right in your ear, but it lets you be more efficient, And Coach Childs is a great offensive mind. He's putting us in the right position to be successful, and just can't wait to execute everything he's put in.
What would you say? Like, what would be a successful day for you tomorrow? Like, you look back, 24 hours from now, we're done with practice, like against DC or enjoy practice.
Just keep moving forward. Individually, just keep moving forward. Don't have any setbacks. Don't, just trust my training. Trust everything we've been putting in, these past couple of days, and even the OTAs and mini camps. Everything we've put together, it's time to finally put it in front of somebody else so we know where we truly are. And, that's just going to be the big, factor of seeing where we are right now.
What do you miss most about LA?
Right now, this very moment, the sun. But, it's still, Houston weather is pretty good. I love Houston. Houston's not bad at all. Yeah.
All right. So we have, that was Jalen Green, wide receiver from the LA Wildcats. A little bit of information about him we can pull up real quick. I don't really have any info on Jalen Green, of what school he played for, but he was out there talking about Norm Chow, which I thought was interesting, about getting used to working with the headset. I thought that was really interesting. Next up, we have an interview with defensive end Willie Mays of the LA Wildcats, talking preseason camp. All
right, so I'm just getting your look at the camera, and I'm just going to talk to you tell us about your day. You guys have the joint practice tomorrow. You're in the shells today, but you definitely got some good, looks like you got some good work in there. Like, what's going on with the D? How you feeling?
Loving what we're doing so far. They're putting us in a great position to succeed. I love my teammates I'm playing with. Like, my DNs, they keep me clean. My linebackers giving me great communication, like helping me do what I gotta do right. We're doing a lot more coverage, and the safeties are like helping me go through and figure out what I'm supposed to do, because I'm a D-end by trade, but to here I'm dropping a little bit more, so they're giving me like the little tips and tricks to what I need to do to help them so I can help myself.
It's good. How's it like working with Pepper? He's obviously got quite a pedigree. His experience as a player and as a coach are well documented. But what are you taking away from him? Working with him, just being around him.
I'm learning a lot. I've never had a coach that's had this much experience, and it's very entertaining hearing the stories of the days he played, with the people he played with, and the techniques they use to be great. Like, it's just very fun having a coach that experience.
So tomorrow we have the joint practice with DC. You guys get to hit somebody that's not a member of your own team. Like, what are you looking to take away from, tomorrow's experience? For you, for the team, like, what are you trying to?
Letting the league know who I am. I come from a small school. We haven't had very many people get out, so I just want to let them know I'm here.
What would you say is your best quality? Because when we watch you play, you are very fast off the edge, and you are just a very fun guy to watch play. So what would you say is your strongest quality, as a defensive end right now?
Just the fact that I play for fun. Like, for me, when I play fun, I'm more energetic, more explosive. Everything just comes so much easier and more natural than playing angry and like being. In my opinion, when you're angry, you're clouded. Your vision's clouded. You get so focused on doing one thing, you just want to fight that guy in front of you. But when you're playing for fun, you want to do it for your teammates. You want to do it to just be exciting.
What is it like with this team? You guys have been together now about a week in Houston. You're in a hotel. Like, what's it like? The vibe is back. The Vegas vibe is here still, and it's growing. Like, how would you describe that?
I love my teammates. Like, it's funny how you can grab people all around the country, put them in one room, and they click immediately. Like, I feel like I've known them for forever. We talk all day, we hang out all day. It's just fun.
Who'd you say your favorite teammate is right now?
Kimbo's very entertaining, but me and Alex get along very well. Like, we have similar interests. He entertains my foolishness, so does Q.
And you guys have also similar hair.
Yeah, we do have similar hair.
Thanks, Willie.
All right, cool.
All right, there you have Willie Mays. He was at a Tiffin college. So some of these guys, we haven't heard, but I'm telling you, these guys are going to make a name for themselves real soon in the XFL. So keep an eye on both Jalen Green and Willie Mays of the LA Wildcats. And we'll see how these guys do in the XFL. It'll be real interesting. One piece of news I totally forgot about, and that was this whole Chad Johnson trying out as a kicker. Totally forgot about this as I was going through the news. This is all live, my friends. This is all live, and we forget, and I deal with it. I wish I had a producer. I wish I could, spend all day trying to figure this out, or this was the one thing of XFL that I do, but this is not. This is one of multiple things that we do with the XFL stuff. So anyway, Chad Johnson's trying out as a kicker in the XFL. We have a picture of him practicing kicking. And that's right, you read the headlines today. Chad Ochocinco is getting a try on the XFL, but not as a wide receiver, as one of the 8 XFL teams, not as a wide receiver for one of the XFL teams, but as a kicker. He's 42 years old. He's a former 6-time Pro Bowler for the Cincinnati Bengals, and I remember him because he's probably on my fantasy football team. But he's a soccer player. Recently showed a video that him kicking a 60-yard field goal on his Instagram. Let's take a look. Kicking a 60-yard field goal.
Yes, sir! Yes, sir!
So there you have it, him kicking a 60-yard field goal. Now, granted, it was off of a tee and et cetera, et cetera. But, so that was a month or so ago, and then on his Twitter account, he said, quote, "The opportunity to kick in the XFL has presented itself. I must try out Monday in Houston. I'm excited as hell, and I'm sure all will go well." That was from his XFL, or from his Twitter account. He goes on to say, "Pretty far-fetched, but imagine me consistent during an XFL season and getting chance at a 53-man roster in the NFL. Even I don't make it, just being able to compete for a spot at an entirely different position will be so riveting." Yes, that would make good TV. And I liked Chad Johnson when he was with the Bengals. Kevin, now this isn't a joke, folks. Kevin Seifert of ESPN said, no, this is real. Johnson last played in the NFL in February of 2012 with the New England Patriots. No word out if he's trying out for the Houston Roughnecks or all XFL teams. Well, we all know that the XFL teams have been practicing in Houston for preseason training camp. So he will be there Monday and trying out as a kicker in the XFL. Trying to get one of our guys on the street there for coverage of that event to see what happens. We'll see if we can get some video or something like that. But that's pretty interesting, kind of pretty cool stuff. All right, on to our social media stuff. We asked the question, who is your favorite XFL team and why? Next week's question, who is your favorite player in the XFL and why? Could Chad Ochocinco be one of your favorite players in the XFL? All right, so we asked the question, who is your favorite team, XFL team, and why? On the Instagrams, let's see, we got a wayward Spartan Guardians because, well, they're in New York, drafted an amazing team, especially Tim Cook, who is going to run over the league, Beast Mode XFL edition. Best uniforms, hand down. We've talked about that. Not to mention any employee I've spoken with, very personal and courteous, mainly my experience manager, Austin Clock, proud season ticket holder, hopefully for a long time. Wow. Drops the season ticket holder or season ticket people, giving them a shout out on XFL News Hub. That's pretty cool. That's good to know. Mike Clifton, until the expansion team is closer, I'm going for Tampa Bay because they're closer to me, but Houston and Dallas have the coolest logos. Evan Cast 4, St. Louis Battlehawks because of legend Brogan Roback. Mickey Y _ Mike Guardians. Whatever team signs Chad Johnson, somebody's on there for that. Rebeligator 715 Tampa Bay Vipers since I live in Orlando and Tampa. Got some Vipers. Brody _ Martin _ Zebra LA Wildcats because I like the way they play. I saw them practicing. Oh, that's cool. So there you have some of the fans on the Instagrams. What about on the Twitters? First up, our main man, Max Levy from Max Scouts, written a couple things for us. Tweeted us from Howard Balzer. Again, breaking news happens all the time. Saying that as the Alliance did last year in San Antonio, XFL will have 4 preseason games near end of camp at TDECU Stadium, University of Houston. January 20th, DC versus Seattle at 10 a.m., Dallas versus St. Louis, 3:30 p.m., and then on January 21st, Los Angeles and Houston, 10 a.m., and Tampa Bay versus New York at 3:30. More than likely, that is to test, I guess, give it one final run through. The question is that everybody's going to ask after this is, who is this going to be televised? And I would be stunned if it was, because they're trying to work out the kinks. But it would definitely be cool if it was on like Fox Sports 1. I mean, you could put it on Fox Sports 1 and people would watch, even if you did it for the last game. But that would be very, very cool if they did that. Thanks for that tweet. We'll probably write about that on XFL News Hub. Favorite team, Antonio says, rooting for the hometown team. I'm Austin and grew up an Oilers fan and an Astros fan. Cheaters! I don't even follow baseball. Apparently they cheated. Now a Texans fan. Okay. I was an XFL fan in 2001 and super excited to have another home team to root for during the spring season. Rough 'em up, Roughnecks, rack 'em. Antonio. JD, DC Defenders. Yes. Because I'm a longtime Redskin fan and because they have 4 of my Buckeyes, Buckeye Nation. Talk Interference Sports. He's going with the Seattle Dragons. Cannot wait to see how well Jim Zorn coaches in this league and his resume he has with Seattle and coaching in general. Talk Interference Sports might need to want to talk to JD about his thought process on Jim Zorn, because Jim Zorn's career here in DC wasn't that great at all. Really, it was not good. The fans don't like Jim Zorn in this area. On the Facebooks, what do we got here? Oh, do you think the NFL is going to steal some XFL rules? We threw this little meme thing out there. Alphonse says the NFL has borrowed something from almost every major sports startup. Spring football league, there's always evaluating. David says the NFL took instant replay and the 2-point conversion from the USFL and only had to pay $3. Okay. About the video game possibility, Ben says, make it like Blitz, the league, and I'm in. I remember that game. Do you guys remember that game, NFL Blitz? It was like kind of obnoxious. Yeah, I wonder if this game is going to be more Madden-like or more like cartoon arcadey-like. For me, I'm a nerd. I want to like draft my own team. I want to evaluate players. I want a story mode, all that kind of good stuff. Zach checking in says, talking about, we got a big long thing. Says St. Louis has the best team and the best staff because they understand our frustration with losing the Rams. You are working as hard as they can to make sure we have a championship quality product on the field to help us forget about our frustration. But they know that we are going to support them no matter what, good or bad. Best jersey in the league is ours. It's really hard to put a number on 2 and 7, but 8 clearly. Tampa Bay. I want to first and foremost apologize to the market. Was not at all the jersey that I was bad as looking. A bunch of other stuff. Yeah, one big run long things. I very much like all the new rules. I can't decide if I'm looking forward to kickoff point after touchdowns or overtime in the most. However, I'm not too sharp on the idea of halftime being only 10 minutes. Kind of agree with you there. I think that is too short. I'm going to have to change. It doesn't give people long enough to wait in line for food or restroom. Plus to sell those jerseys. Remember, if you want to get custom jerseys, you had to buy them at the stadium. But you figure everybody's going to do that at halftime. If you only have a 10-minute halftime, that's not going to work. Wait in line for food, use the restroom. We'll see what happens. Yeah, I don't know about that 10-minute halftime either. That will be interesting to see how that goes. About the Fox commercial, Assad said still waiting for XFL and ESPN commercials to begin unless they're going to go big and release their XFL commercials on Super Bowl Sunday. That's a good point. I wonder if, during, the 24 hours straight of NFL coverage that ESPN will have, will they have some XFL commercials hitting ESPN? They should. They got a lot of time to kill. On our question, your favorite XFL team and why? Zach says St. Louis has the best team, the best staff. We just said that earlier. Daniel says not sure yet. I'm going back and forth between Dallas and Houston. I live closer to Dallas, but I typically root for Houston teams. I'm leaning towards Dallas. Interesting. Del Mar, I don't know yet. I'm from Spruce Grove, Alberta, Canada. I don't know if I see any games. You should be able to do that. I would go, Del Mar, just pick DC Defenders. Even though you're from Canada, I mean, you could go New York, but just DC Defenders, America's team. Just keep it simple. Michael says, why, how? Just based on location, let's see full rosters and one action, then I'll tell you. Okay. Roberto, Vipers have the most upside and talent, in my opinion. Derek says, I'm all with the Battlehawks. We got Seattle Dragons, DC based on location, Vipers. Keelan Gillen says Battlehawks call. I think that's their saying thing as well. All right, what else we got? We got some of our other final social media stuff before my voice goes out every single time, man. Am I yelling or something? I don't know what's going on. On the social media stuff, let's see. On the YouTube channel. Let's see here. Ben B Productions. This is weird about the coin toss thing I just heard on the podcast. I read on ESPN and multiple tweets from multiple sources reported that there is no coin toss and the home team for every game gets to select to go on offense or defense first. And if a shootout or overtime occur, the away team gets that option. I've also heard that as well, that it was an automatic thing. But then I heard other places where the coin toss is going to happen before the game in some official capacity. I'm wondering if they haven't figured all that out just yet. But yeah, I've heard that conflicting thing before. Stone Cold 10X. I hope that the rule that determines what a catch is simplified from the NFL. I shouldn't need a PhD to determine what a catch is in football. Also, don't give oxygen to Florio. Instead, focus on Pat McAfee, who's doing good to promote the XFL. Oh, that's right. We went through a whole episode without talking about my friend, Mike Fledgling, wedding singer, person, Florio. It's fledgling. Something's fledgling. DTOM America. Eric Dungey is now with the Dallas Renegades. I'm from upstate New York, and I've enjoyed watching him at Syracuse. He's a beast. He could be the Lamar Jackson of the XFL if used right. I'm in the Army now, stations in Fort Hood, Texas, and we'll go see him in Dallas. That's cool. Super UK Cats, our man who did our big list that we put out. It was all him about XFL rules, and I changed it to XFL rules that they should not do. Well, he has checked in. And this is what he had to say. I don't know about the video. I didn't not know about this video until recently, thanks, because we put out a video in his honor. I've also come up with 2 more rules since then. No forward lateral penalty. Throw the ball in any direction you want. Okay. Intentional grounding? Why not? But it won't stop the clock if you do that. Plus, I found out that there will be no field goals or punts in OT. Instead, we get a shootout. Ugh. I like the shootout. I'm fine with that. By the way, nice pick of Homer Simpson in XFL gear. Thought I'd rather have a leather-clad Joe D. Messina with XFL gear photoshopped onto her. Oh well, Joe D. Messina dropping there. And yes, it was Meta World Peace who fought those evil Detroit Piston fans back in 2004. Also, the Boston Bruins in the late 70s fought evil New York Rangers fans that were pelting them with garbage, and the fines and suspensions were tame back then. P.S. I am serious about these types of rules the XFL should implement. I am a huge fan of Roman gladiator games and from Julius Caesar Day, you see. Heck, if landmines weren't fatal, I'd throw those in there too. And no, I'm not surprised that the XFL will never listen. Super UK Cats would have landmines in XFL games if he could. Maybe we become a billionaire and then we hook up Super UK Cats and he does a football league for us. Who knows? On to the emails. You got a bunch of them. Mike checking in. Are there any sites offering XFL fantasy leagues like ESPN or CBS? As of right now, Yahoo's another one. They will. It's coming. Have no fear. There will be XFL fantasy football is coming. It's got to be ESPN, CBS. I would assume all of them will. Yahoo. Why not? DraftKings is doing it. You should too. Let's see. Who else? We got here. Joshua says, I waited 19 years for the XFL to come back. The 2001 XFL was awesome. They stopped after one season. Now, 19 years later, Extreme Football League, which they say X doesn't stand for extreme, is finally back, and so is football. So excited. Always keep me update with playoffs, championship games, and so on and so forth. Joshua checking in via our mobile app. Thanks for checking in there. We're excited, too. We can't wait. I can't wait, man. I am telling you, that Super Bowl weekend is going to be a lot of fun because 1 week, man, it's already starting to pick up the pace. We've putting out a lot of content, and it's like, oh, well, I'll just kind of chill this day and not get on my computer. Nope, it's on now. June says, will there be an XFL mobile app that lets you watch the games if you don't have access to a TV? Nothing about an XFL mobile app. They have talked about in a fan survey about doing an app that the turnaround time is, what's today, is the 14th. So you have less than a month to develop something that works really well. I don't think you're going to see an XFL app anytime soon. Jamal checking in. Big long email. Says, fledgling, I know what that means, and lots of people know, but given the context it's used, it comes across carrying a bad connotation. And that Florio guy, along with his people, when they write about the XFL, they use it. Young bird, immature, underdeveloped, just a few definitions to fledgling. I would not use it when writing about the XFL personally. Thank you. I don't know if this is true or not, but I think NBC got snubbed from getting the XFL, and they started to go against the league. Also, remember early on when Luck did Florio interviews, they were good, I thought. And now, I agree, they were good. They were very good interviews, and everything was nice, and you didn't see the word fledgling. Then the TV contracts came out. Mike Florio went boo-hoo. His masters at NBC didn't care because, frankly, they would never use the word fledgling if it was NBC's property. And then all of a sudden, you got it. Jamal, we're feeling it. We're on the same page. This is bugging me when the XFL did their initial invite-only workout. The league partnered with outside group to help with the workouts. Do you recall who they are? Oh, who was the outside company? I know Eric Galco is involved with the XFL draft, putting people together. But just do a search on XFL News Hub about who they partnered with to do the spring workouts, because we did write an article about that. I know I did somewhere. Just Google it. Go to XFL News Hub, do a search, and you'll find it. I don't know how I feel about this, that there is another podcast. This is the XFL show. They have now partnership of some kind with the XFL. I noticed the XFL post their podcast on the site, probably give them dibs on personal interviews, comp travel, and hotels to camp visits. It said that podcast claims I'm paraphrasing, for the people, by the people, but if that was the case, they would read questions fans send them and hear feedback and be more interactive, but they don't. Okay. I did hear that too. Congratulations to them. That's why I like your podcast better. Well, thank you. I know you have some contact with the NFL, but nowhere near that the other show. I do, but I do have contacts. I reached out sometimes, but I'm not very aggressive when it comes to interviewing coaches. I'm working stuff. Number one, I wasn't interested in interviewing any players because I didn't even know if they were going to be in the league. And that goes for good guys too. So I didn't really reach out for any players. And coaches stuff, I could go for that. I haven't really tried. So, I mean, I like to leave it to the fans. I like sometimes interviews. I don't know. I'm just working on I'm spinning a lot of plates when it comes to the XFL, a full-time career and a family. And so, but we'll see. We'll see how that goes going forward. He goes on to say, that's why I like your podcast. I know you have some contact with the NFL, but nowhere near that show. You read emails, good and bad. Let fans leave voicemails, though I bet in the future they will be a live call-in show. Only problem with a live call-in show is if somebody uses bad language, then it impacts YouTube. Oh, and Rangers King 669 answers American Combine testing or something like that. Yeah, I think he's right. It was something like that. It did set up the XFL spring or the XFL summer showcase, which I hope they do again. Let's see here. Super interactive. This podcast truly for fans. Keep up the good work. Didn't mean to take that long, but I forgot. Roughnecks. Hee-haw. That's my call, which sounds like a donkey. Hey, Battlehawks, have a caw. Talking trash. Well, Jamal, thank you for the email. Long email. Don't have a problem with it. And I agree. I would like to do live, but you got to watch language. You have to have somebody editing that or being up that stuff. We're working on amping up our production of the YouTube channel with more stuff. And I'd like to bring guys in live, really. One of the things that I would like to do is once we can have an XFL draft, fantasy football draft, I want to do that live and actually we're going to do a draft with the writers of XFL News Hub. We'll be in a league. And then I really want to do a select, maybe one of you can be, in our fan league that we'll be part of too. Maybe we'll give some prizes or something like that. It'll be a lot of fun. More emails. Got a lot of emails this week. What is your organization's main way of recruiting into your league, through college, camps, or what? I think this was meant for the XFL, maybe not me. The main thing with the XFL, your best way to get in the XFL is either A, have an agent, or B, is the Spring League. That's really your two main options if you want to get in the Spring League. Coin toss. David asks, is there going to have a coin toss? We said no. Some reports that they're going to do a coin toss before the game. Other ones, it will just be the home team. It'll just be this kind of automatic thing. We've heard two different versions of that. I'm leaning towards that it could be I might lean towards that might be an automatic thing, but we'll find out about that. Kevin checking in. Oh, something about an office pool. I don't care about that. Oh, Joy says, will XFL games be available on Verizon XFL app for mobile phones? No word yet. I don't think they'll have a mobile app this year. It's not going to be like the NFL. You could just pull up ESPN on your phone. Verizon and their stuff, you don't need that. And finally, Our tier one emailer, Nicholas, checking in. With the East-West Shrine game and Senior Bowl happening, I'm wondering what Eric Galco and the XFL are going to do to get better players for next year. Taylor Cornelius, Johnny Tuamo both played in the East-West Shrine game, while Tyree Jackson played in the Senior Bowl a year ago. The XFL should get a close eye on some players who might be in the XFL. Out of all the rules, my most questionable ones are the overtime and the extra points. I like the overtime. I'm good with that. Extra points, I wouldn't mind a kick. I think it's an Ocho Cinco more time to play. In overtime, I would like to see the college format. The extra points should have been everyone has to go for two, and no problem with any rule. And the fact I love just about all of them. I was wondering how these two rules will look like in particular. Not sure about that either. That's why the question that I asked was, what's the deal with are you going to pull a rule if there's a problem midstream during the season? All right, thanks to our chat room. I didn't get a chance to say aloha to some of you guys. Ben B Productions, aloha to you. Kathleen says Chad needs to kick in number 12. Ben B Productions says 2K is in disarray as a developer right now. They botched the 2K20 and fell all out of the game being released unfinished, and consequently for them, people left the company. Don't trust them to do a game. Chad Johnson, everybody's excited about Chad Johnson. We'll see what happens. I would love if we have coverage. We have one of our guys in there trying to find, we'll figure that out. They were talking about that. And let's see, Fox, the NFL game will drive sales. Well, we're hearing, let's see. I dropped W's. We got Eric. Can't wait to see the man grow in the league, especially since he'll have to cope with having a not so good O-line. I'm also rooting for Dallas since he's doing that there. Miller Kingdom, the XFL can't worry about expansion teams. XFL must focus on their product right now. I mean, that is a question that comes up a lot. But we're not having that. Year 3, maybe, my friends. Year 3. All right, that's it for the show this week. Next week's show, who's your favorite player in the XFL and why? I bet you Chad Ocho Cinco. I bet you Eric Dungey will be on there and so much more. Maybe it's me. I mean, not that I don't play in the XFL, but maybe your favorite XFL personality, aside from Oliver Luck, is Mark Perry from XFL News Hub, or maybe one of our fantastic writers. Maybe they're on that too. Remember, if you want to win this football like this, leave us a review on iTunes or subscribe to our channel. Do that right now. When it will be announced February 4th. We're on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. You know the whole deal. There goes my voice. Remember, follow us on all the social medias. Leave us a review. That's it for me, folks. My voice is about to go. Thanks for checking in. We'll see you next week, and I will see you all later. Peace out.